Lau observed Xavier in the quiet cave. Xavier was getting close to the next level, but suddenly he stopped. Lau could sense how Xavier stabilized his Q energy instead of attempting to reach another Q star. He wants to stop instead of becoming a level 4 She-Master. I suppose that is good. It is important to know when to stop. Becoming too greedy in such a situation could become troublesome. Not bad, kid. Not bad. Xavier's eyes trembled before they sprang open. The glow around him slowly diminished. Lau chuckled. Good job, kid. Your strength rose by 2 levels. You're a level 3 She-Master now. Unfortunately, this sort of opportunity won't show up often. You should be grateful it happened. Xavier stretched himself. I feel like I'm reborn, and 2 levels are more than enough. I know I probably could have reached level 4, but I think that would have been overdoing it. Lau smiled and nodded. With a wave of his hand, the lotus leaf under Xavier came forth and flew back into the storage ring. Lau picked up the black rock and walked over to Xavier to hand him his storage ring. As Xavier saw the piece of rock, his eyes lit up. The rock I got at the Alchemist Society. Do you know what it is used for? When I saw it, I felt very drawn to it, but I did not know why. I still have no idea what it's used for. Lau nodded. I've seen this kind of storing device before. Storing device? You can put things inside this piece of rock? Xavier was at a loss. Lau chuckled and shook his head. Not like that. It is not a storage ring in the way you know it. If this rock is what I think it is, then it has been created in the Burning Valley. Only there, people are skilled enough to create storage devices from this special black jade. You can feel it. If you touch it for a while, a faint heat is coming from it. Everything that has been created in the Burning Valley has this faint heat to it. That is a sure way of knowing that it is not some cheap fake that someone tries to sell as an artifact from the Burning Valley. Burning Valley? Where is this Burning Valley? I've never heard of it before. Xavier bit his lips. As someone who is not from the continent of the heavens, these names sounded very foreign to him. It is not an actual Burning Valley, Lau laughed. It is a faction, just like the faction of the Misty Clouds. I believe the Burning Valley faction could easily rival the faction of the Misty Clouds. They are renowned for mastering the fire attribute. They are a rather unique bunch. Rivaling the faction of the Misty Clouds? Xavier's mouth twitched into a smile. A moment later, he burst into laughter. I keep hearing about forces that could rival the faction of the Misty Clouds, and for the past 3 years, I thought this was something impossible. Everyone kept talking about how powerful and divine the faction of the Misty Clouds is. I really ended up believing all of it. But they're not that powerful at all, are they? Lau shook his head and laughed. Well, that depends on the point of view. For a mouse, a cat is a dangerous beast. But for a lion, not so much. You should not get too cocky. You are just a mere She-Master yet. Once you become a warlord, then you can look down on the faction of the Misty Clouds. But until then, you still have a long way to go. You see, in the Empire of the Heavens, the faction of the Misty Clouds has no rivaling forces, aside from the Imperial family perhaps. But the Empire of the Heavens is just a small pool. Meanwhile, the continent of the heavens is a vast ocean. There are many powerful forces lurking in every corner. Compared to some of those forces, the faction of the Misty Clouds is only a second-rate faction. Although they have one warlord amongst their ranks, this does not mean much when compared with other factions. You are still young. Once you're older and more experienced, you will see that there are more powerful people than grains of sand in a desert. The world that you know is just one small part of this continent. I believe you will love this exciting world outside of the Empire of the Heavens. However, you should be careful to not get too cocky. You need to work on your own strength if you want to obtain any respect outside the Empire of the Heavens. Xavier nodded. I understand. The strong eat the weak. That is a rule not only in the Empire of the Heavens, but in the rest of the continent as well. I'm glad you understand this. Now, to get back to your original topic, you wanted to know what is inside this. Lau raised the black rock. A spark lit up in Xavier's eyes. He eagerly nodded. Lau grinned. Use a fire to burn it. These strange artifacts from the Burning Valley must be burnt to reveal what's inside. The harder it is to break open, the more valuable what's inside. Xavier took the piece of black rock from Lau. He flipped it up and down as he inspected it. Not doubting his master's words, Xavier pulled out a pill, swallowed it, and spat out a purple flame. It floated in front of him. He flicked his fingers, and the black rock flew into the fire. Immediately, the rock began to glow. Xavier shifted his attention fully to the rock. He did not want to miss anything that was going on. Both Lau and Xavier were surprised that despite the high temperature of the purple flame, nothing happened. Xavier looked with a questioning look at Lau. "Master Lau, is this rock supposed to withstand the purple flame?" Lau shook his head and furrowed his brows. "I'll admit, I thought this was some ordinary artifact, but judging from this reaction, I think we found something big. Kid, it's good to see that you did not run out of luck while I was gone. Try to use the green heavenly flame to break it open." Xavier nodded quickly. Seeing the joy in Lau's eyes made Xavier's heart skip a beat. If even Lau is getting so excited about this rock, then there must be something really special inside. Xavier waved his hands, and the purple flame disappeared. Seconds later, the green heavenly flame appeared on his fingertips. He formed the flame into a fireball and placed the rock inside it. Instantly, the heavenly flame began gnawing on the rock. Slowly, Xavier increased the heat of the green heavenly flame by sending more Q energy to it. The temperature of the air in the cave had also increased by a few degrees. Finally, the surface of the rock began to change. It began to move like the surface of a lake during a storm. "Is it going to melt?" Xavier asked. "It's fine. Continue to raise the temperature." Lau did not panic, and instead encouraged Xavier to keep going. Xavier swallowed, but did not disobey. He took a deep breath and sent some more Q energy to the heavenly flame. Following this increase in temperature, the black rock melted completely. As it melted, its color changed as well. It turned from black into a clear liquid with a slight green glow. This liquid kept moving inside the heavenly flame. "Stay focused. It is about to reveal what's inside." Lau warned Xavier. His grin widened. Xavier's body tensed up as he heard this. He stared at the liquid in the heavenly flame without daring to even blink. He did not want to miss a single second. About 10 seconds later, the green glow increased tenfold. Instinctively, Xavier shielded his eyes. As the flash of light diminished a bit, he looked back. Suddenly, a bunch of characters and letters appeared from the liquid. They arranged themselves in the middle of the cave. The font was hard to read, but Xavier managed to read it. "Skyfire, what does this mean? Do you know what this is?" Xavier turned to Lau. Lau was beaming with joy. His eyes were sparkling. "Yes, of course I know what this is. Congratulations, Xavier. You have truly found a treasure. This is incredible. This Skyfire technique is a mysterious high-level secret technique." "Secret technique? Wait, like the secret snake techniques that the snake people use?" Xavier raised an eyebrow. Lau chuckled and tilted his head to the left and the right. "Well, kind of, I suppose. You see, aside from the D techniques and Q methods, there are some special secret techniques scattered all throughout the continent of the heavens. Some of them can raise your strength temporarily. I remember that back in Wutan City, your friend used one of those secret techniques to increase her strength." Xavier began to understand. He thought back to the night when Sunny snuck out to kill Aaron. "That sounds like it could become incredibly helpful." Lau nodded. "Indeed, it is. According to my knowledge, this Skyfire technique is one of the hidden treasures belonging to the Burning Valley. To be honest, for most ordinary people, it's useless. However, for some people, it is undoubtedly a treasure you could not weigh up in gold. You see, there are some requirements needed to use this secret technique. Depending on the secret technique, they differ. For this secret technique, you need a fire attribute and a special type of flame. I think your purple flame should do the trick." "Wait, so I meet the requirements? That's great. This means I can use the secret technique to temporarily increase my strength, right?" Xavier's eyes widened. "Is it as strong as Sunny's secret technique back in Wutan City?" he asked. As Xavier saw how Lau thought for a moment before replying, he already understood where this conversation would be going. Eventually, Lau confirmed Xavier's suspicion. "No, I'm afraid not. Back then, I observed the girl and how she acted after using the secret technique. On the day after she used the secret technique, her face was still rosy. She did appear a little weak, but nothing that could not be taken care of with some rest. You see, these secret techniques work by allowing you to overdraw your strength for a while. Naturally, this means that afterward, you will be very exhausted and sick. Depending on the quality of the secret technique, this can mean you will be sick for a day, or end up badly injured for months. Xavier laughed bitterly. Sunny is still a mystery to me. I wonder how powerful her background is. She kind of scares me sometimes. So this means this secret technique has some drawbacks, and I should only use it in emergencies? Don't be so disappointed. The Skyfire secret technique is not a bad technique. Not at all, really. And since you possess 3 different flames, it should be possible for you to increase your strength in 3 different ways. I think the amount of strength you can increase will be dependent on the strength of the flame you use. I believe the leader of the Burning Valley also had a kind of heavenly flame and 2 monster flames, though I could be wrong. It has been a few years since I heard anything about the Burning Valley, but when their leader used the Skyfire secret technique in 3 different ways, he could easily fight a war king. A war king? Xavier's eyes widened even more. That is 1 rank above the level of a warlord. That means the Skyfire secret technique lets you raise your level above stages? If I use it, could I fight with the strength of a battle spirit? Calm down, kid. Don't get too excited just yet. You should work on your patience. You see, he only had 1 heavenly flame. Normally, people can only obtain and use 1 heavenly flame, but you are a special case. Since you have the Q method flame mantra, you are able to use as many heavenly flames as you can find. If you're lucky enough to obtain 3 heavenly flames, your strength will increase a lot more than even the leader of the Burning Valley could have imagined. Lau explained. Xavier almost drooled as he heard Lau talking about this. He looked at the curtain of light with all the letters and symbols in front of him with desire. Lau chuckled. Go ahead, insert your hand into the light. This way, you can obtain the knowledge and training method for the Skyfire secret technique. Just staring at it won't do anything. Of course. Xavier did not want to waste any time. Immediately, he placed his fingers into the light that had an almost liquid feel to it. His skin crawled. The light looked as if it had come to life. It transformed itself into a string that entered Xavier's head. Information entered Xavier's brain as he touched the light that contained the secret technique Skyfire. His body trembled. His face twitched. It was a lot more painful than he expected. All he could do was grit his teeth and endure it. After a few minutes, the pain stopped. Once again, the cave and the mountain descended into complete silence. Lau stroked his beard as he eyed Xavier. I'm really surprised that a secret technique of the Burning Valley would find its way into the Empire of the Heavens. It surprises me even more that you were the person to find it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about it. I just think it's rather odd. I remember how I met the former leader of the Burning Valley. That was many, many decades ago, if not centuries. He refused to let me even look at this secret technique. Now it ended up in my disciple's lap, without having to use any effort or force. Lau could not help but laugh and shake his head. If he would only know, he would be furious. Maybe it is true. Patience always pays off. Xavier let out an exhausted sigh. Man, that was hard. I did not think it would be so painful. But this secret technique is very strange. I'm not sure what crazy genius came up with it. Secret techniques are extremely rare, not only in the Empire of the Heavens, but in the entire world. They're even rarer than a Diamond Level D technique. How are you feeling? Are you satisfied? Lau asked. Very satisfied. Just like you said, I learned that there are 3 transformations of the Skyfire secret technique that can be caused by 3 different flames. Unfortunately, I only learned how to make it undergo its first transformation. There was no information on how to make it undergo the other 2 transformations. Xavier sounded a bit confused. Lau was also at a loss. He frowned. Only 1 transformation? How odd. Perhaps this is some trick of the Burning Valley. This way, even if the secret technique falls into the hands of an outsider, it would be difficult to use its full power. Xavier shrugged it off. I only have 1 heavenly flame right now, so it does not matter. Perhaps I can find the information about the other 2 transformations later, once I have found 2 more heavenly flames. If you find 2 more heavenly flames, Lau corrected him. Some alchemists go centuries without even finding 1 heavenly flame. Keep this in mind. Xavier nodded. All right then, kid. Lau suddenly clapped his hands. What do you plan to do next? You've recovered from your injuries, so we can continue our journey. Xavier did not have to think twice before answering. I need to search for my father. If what that first Elder Shen said was true, then my father must be fine. though I'm not sure if Shen was being honest. It wouldn't have been the first time someone from the faction of the Misty Clouds lied to me. It also sounds weird. What sounds weird? Questioned Lao. Well, Shen said that my father had just vanished, without being touched by them. My father was not even on the level of a Q Master. There's no way he just vanished without a trace on his own, Xavier pointed out. Lao hummed. Then perhaps he wasn't on his own. I think someone might have helped him. Do you have any idea of who this person could be, Master Lao? Xavier asked. Several, Lao answered. Really? But that person must be someone with the level of a high-level Q-Master to bring my father away to safety. And I don't think my clan ever made an ally that was so powerful. Well, I guess I made an ally that powerful. But you know what I mean. Xavier laughed awkwardly. And what about this girl you like? The faction that supports her might have such a strength, don't you think? Lao remarked. Xavier turned red as Sunny was mentioned again. You think Sunny sent someone? Lao shook his head. Well, no, not exactly. Don't get me wrong, she is clearly very smart, but I would be very surprised if she possessed such great foresight. What I mean is that someone from her faction might have sent someone. You see, your clan does have some connection with the forces behind Sunny. Unfortunately, this connection appears to be complicated. Your clan is not exactly friends with the faction that supports Sunny. As an outsider, I'm afraid I'm not too familiar with all the details. Even if I would want to tell you more, I can't. Xavier was visibly disappointed as he heard this. I see. In any case, the Xiao clan should be safe now, and my father is most likely safe as well, so I have some peace of mind. Then perhaps we should head to Nanji Academy. I promised Sunny that I would show up there, and perhaps she knows where my father is. No matter what, a fight with Grandmaster Shan Yun will be unavoidable if we want to leave the Empire of the Heavens. Let us get some rest and continue with our journey tomorrow. Lao agreed, and they went to get some rest in the cave. The night passed quickly. When the first sunlight hit the land, Xavier woke up to the singing of birds. He stood up and stretched himself. Due to the giant boulder at the entrance to the cave, it was still dark inside. Xavier walked toward it and pushed it aside. The bright light blinded him. He walked out of the cave and stood beneath the warming sunlight. Master Lao, are there any traces of the elders or disciples from the faction of the Misty Clouds nearby? Yes, I'm afraid so. A few 100 feet across the ravine in front of us, there are a few people with varying levels. There are also some more scattered behind us. Grandmaster Shan Yun has left a Q-energy seal on you to trace you. Although I am suppressing it, they might be able to sense it vaguely to guess your position. There is no need to worry about this, though. They can only narrow the area down a bit. They will have to search through a large area to get close to you. Lao manifested himself next to Xavier and let his eyes sweep over the forest behind the ravine. They are really persistent. What am I supposed to do, Master Lao? Xavier frowned. I wish I could help you, but it will take me at least another 2 weeks before my spiritual strength is fully recovered. You will have to rely on yourself. Make sure to avoid them. If you would be caught by them, you would be in serious trouble. They won't show you any mercy, warned Lao. Xavier laughed as he heard this. Yeah, I figured they won't. I'm sure I'll be fine. I've been traveling without you for a while, and I'm still alive, so I must be doing something right. Anyway, the only way left is deeper into the mountain range of monsters. As long as I can throw off the people who are chasing me and hide my identity, then I should manage to escape. Lao hummed. Very well. Then everything will be up to you. I will help you by keeping track of the people chasing you. Seconds later, Lao vanished into the ancient black ring on Xavier's finger. Xavier nodded. He activated his eagle wings and shot up into the sky. As soon as he reached the other side of the ravine, he landed in a large bush. He deactivated his eagle wings and looked around to see if everything was clear. Once it looked good, he climbed up a tree like a monkey and moved through the thicket of leaves. Only moments later, a group of people appeared at the spot Xavier landed. In their hands were long swords. The sun reflected off them, causing them to glow in a cold light. Anyone there? I could have sworn I sensed some movement in the air here, uttered one of the disciples. I can't see anyone, but across this ravine is some cave. It looks very wide. Can someone with a wind attribute find a way to float over there and check it out? Pointed another disciple. Sure, I should be able to do that. One of the disciples stepped forward. Another disciple stepped forward. "I can go as well," she said. Eventually, 4 disciples agreed to check out the cave. Like flying squirrels, they jumped into the sky and floated over. As the first disciple landed, she turned towards the others who landed next to her. "Remember our elders' orders. Don't fight Xavier head-on if you meet him. All we need to do is stall for time." "Yes," the others replied simultaneously and entered the cave. Meanwhile, Xavier flashed across from tree to tree as quickly as he could. Each time he would land on a tree branch, he catapulted his body away to gain more distance. Although he saw some monsters on the way, none of them attacked him. Instead, they trembled as they smelled the scent of the rainbow-devouring python. Suddenly, Lau's voice appeared in Xavier's mind. "The people chasing you have sensed your movement. There is a large group of disciples hurrying over. Luckily, there are quite a few monsters blocking their path. I don't think it will be as easy for them to avoid those monsters as it is for you. With our current speed, and their current speed considered, we should get rid of them in the evening." "That is great news." Xavier jumped from another tree branch to the next one. In the distance, he could see more light shining through the thicket. "We're reaching the edge of the forest." Like an arrow, Xavier shot forwards to the edge. Suddenly, he could hear Lau cry out for him. "Be careful!" It was too late. Xavier shot out of the forest and landed on a field of grass. He raised his head, and his pupils dilated as he saw 5 enormous shadows. Shit! As quickly as he could, Xavier jumped into a bush to hide from the 5 large shadows above him. He raised his head and held his breath. Above him were 5 giant eagle-like monsters. What scared Xavier more were the people who were sitting on those giant eagles. On each monster were 2 people. Although they were quite a distance away, Xavier could see their robes. They were members of the faction of the Misty Clouds. Damn it! Why does the faction of the Misty Clouds have so many flying beasts? Xavier sneered. He could hear Lau's sigh in his mind. "I'm sorry, I did not expect this either. I thought only those few elders from the faction could create Q-energy wings to fly. If I had known they have flying beasts, I would have told you. This is my fault. I was careless. The Q-energy of the people on top of these monsters is very weak, so I did not expect them to cause us any trouble." "Don't blame yourself, Master Lau. I did not think it would be easy to escape. They won't be able to stop me." Xavier smiled. He looked at the sky. Lau, who had a feeling he knew what Xavier was about to do, reminded him to be cautious. "You need to be careful. If you are held back by them, and they call for backup, we are in real trouble." Xavier laughed a bit. Yes, I know. Since when are you so worried about me?" The 5 monsters were directly above him. He reached inside his sleeve with a wide grin on his face. One of the people spotted Xavier in the bushes. "There! That is him! Do you see him? He is hiding in the bushes! Sir, what should we do?" One of the disciples on the monster's back asked the middle-aged man who sat next to him. "Make sure to send a signal with the signal flare first. We have to stall time until the elders arrive. Our faction leader said that Xavier is severely injured. Even if he had enough energy left to flee, it is likely that he is not strong enough to get far. As long as we can stall for time until the elders arrive, we have no need to worry. Something else to keep in mind. Our faction leader also told me that whoever captures Xavier will get promoted and become a deacon of the faction. Additionally, they will be allowed to pick a high-level XXQ method and D technique," replied the man. A desire flashed through the disciple's eyes as he heard this. His breathing became heavy. "Man, he really wants Xavier dead if whoever catches him gets so many rewards. I'll do my best." Without hesitation, he took out the signal flare and pulled it. After a loud bang echoed through the sky, a giant longsword made of fog appeared in the sky. The other members of this group kept their eyes fixated on the bush in which Xavier was hiding. They braced themselves for any move Xavier might make. Faint Q-energy wrapped around their longswords. Xavier made no move. The leader of the group stared at the bushes without blinking. The strange silence caused him to furrow his brows. Logically speaking, Xavier should know that the more time he wastes, the larger his disadvantage will be. But then why is he not? At this moment, Xavier leapt out of the bushes like an arrow that was released from its bow. The middle-aged leader of the group laughed coldly. "Where do you think you can escape to? You can't win this fight, Xavier of the Xiao clan. The leader swung his longsword. As he did so, more than 10 Q-energy swords came shooting forward from the tip of it. They all rushed towards the spot in front of Xavier. As they landed, they got stuck in the earth, blocking Xavier's path. Xavier had to turn and was forced to hide back in the bushes. The leader of the group laughed. He really is badly injured. Look at him, running around like a wounded rabbit. A sadistic grin spread over the man's face. Not even a second later, he froze. He saw a rainbow-colored glow close to him. Keep your guard up, he warned. It was too late. One of the flying monsters was hit with the liquid poison of the rainbow-devouring serpent. The two people on top of the monster activated their Q energy to shield themselves from the poison, but their Q energy was too weak. Within seconds, they corroded until nothing but bones were left. As the other group members saw this, panic spread. They descended their monsters and got closer to the ground. Their leader cursed. You idiots! Don't go to the ground! Do you want to get closer to Xavier? Hearing their leader's cry, they tried to gain height again, but it was too late. Xavier laughed and jumped back out of the bushes. He flapped the eagle wings on his back a few times and rushed forward to the monsters. The grip around his broadsword ruler tightened. Like lightning, it cut through the monsters' necks. 3 heads fell onto the field. The disciples on the monsters' backs turned pale. They were still several dozen feet above the ground. With their weak Q energy, they had no chance of surviving the fall from this height. Xavier did not pay them any mind. Now there was only one eagle monster left. The leader looked terrified. Hurry up and leave! Immediately, the remaining monster rose higher into the air, attempting to escape. The rainbow-colored flash appeared again. Like a sharp arrow, liquid poison shot through the chest of the disciple next to the leader. As he saw his disciple's body corroding until nothing but bones were left, the leader felt regret crawling into his heart. I should have never agreed on this. I got too greedy. All I cared for were the rewards. I did not think this would cost so many lives. He was about to turn his monster around and leave, but Xavier was faster. You were looking for me for so long. Why do you want to leave now that you found me? Xavier flapped his wings and appeared in front of him. He raised his broadsword ruler. The leader gritted his teeth. All right, if you want to fight so badly, then let us fight. He tightened his grip around his longsword, and his Q energy surged. Xavier was unimpressed. He stepped on the head of the eagle monster, and his body shot upward. He then landed on the middle-aged man's head as well, and catapulted himself even higher. The man was dumbstruck. He felt a weird tingling Q energy that entered his head as Xavier jumped off it. Mid-air, Xavier sheathed his broadsword ruler on his back before whistling. In the blink of an eye, the rainbow-devouring python rushed back into his sleeve. He then turned his head and looked into the distance. Xavier could see a number of people appearing on the horizon. Swiftly, he landed on the ground and rushed back into the forest, where he vanished. Not long after he disappeared, the people on the horizon arrived at the spot where Xavier and the group from the faction had their fight. Master Li, where is Xavier? Where's the rest of your group? One of the people who arrived asked. It was one of the elders. Behind him were more than 30 flying monsters. On their backs sat more disciples. In total, it must have been more than 100 people. Master Li did not react to hearing his name. The other elders could sense something was wrong. What happened? Master Li had no time to answer. Suddenly, his body exploded. Organs and fresh blood scattered in every direction under the dumbstruck looks of the 100 disciples. Before they had time to process what had just happened, the eagle monster Master Li was on exploded as well. Blood and meat poured over the field like red rain. Some of the disciples vomited. There was a strange silence. The oldest elder also felt sick. Revenge. This was Xavier's revenge. Xavier, this does not change anything. Even if I have to continue to chase you for thousands of miles, I will tear you apart. You hear me? The elder used his Q energy to spread his voice through the entire mountain range. Far in the distant dense forest, Xavier paused. He took a quick glance at the sky behind him and shook his head. It looks like the elders of the faction refused to give up. I was hoping they would have come to their senses after seeing what I did with their group, yet they keep searching for me. Lao hummed in agreement. The power of those elders is nothing to be frowned upon. They are able to sense the slightest movements from your body due to the Q energy seal that Grandmaster Shen Yun placed on you. Although they are not able to track your exact location, they can still narrow your area down a lot. I can sense that they began to form a circle around us. They will not close in until they've found you. I am also afraid that the monsters in this region pose not much of a threat to the elders. Then what should we do? If we allow them to keep moving, we'll end up like a caged bird. Xavier frowned. Don't worry, we will move around. And while they do have 50 flying monsters for transport, this is not too much. After all, the mountain range of monsters is enormous. The distance between their flying monsters is huge, but this Q energy seal to track you does concern me a bit. Lao thought for a moment. Can't we just remove it? I've healed, so it should be fine. Right, Master Lao? I'm afraid not, Xavier. It would be possible to remove the Q energy seal, but this would cause an extreme Q energy ripple. The elders would immediately sense it, and you would be exposed. We need to shake them off before removing it, explained Lao. Xavier nodded. He raised his head and looked through the small gaps between the leaves. He could spot a flying monster that was close to him and sighed. All right, then we'll keep moving to exhaust them. Once it gets dark, searching for me will get more difficult. I'll use this to my advantage and escape from them. Once I'm away from them, you can remove the seal from my body, right? Yes, that won't be any problem, Lao agreed. As Xavier moved again, one of the elders in the sky frowned and exchanged a look with the two elders near him. I can sense that Xavier is trying to flee. The Q energy seal that our former leader placed on him is moving away. The oldest elder let out a cold laugh. He can try to flee if he wants to. I don't care. He has no chance to escape. Eagle Unit, maintain the formation. Head towards the south to continue our search. Pay attention to anything that moves in the forest beneath us. The flying monsters quickly turned south and screamed loudly. Not long after, the oldest elder sensed something else. Damn it! That bastard has changed his direction. His face turned red with anger. Change of plans. Head north again. Follow him closely. He can't keep running forever. As his voice fell, the flying monsters turned around again and headed north. They kept flying north for a while until Xavier changed his direction again. The elders cursed loudly. Again and again, they were forced to change their directions. If one saw the flying monsters in their formation, it almost looked as if they were performing a show. They kept moving, twirling, and changing directions. This went on all the way until sunset. Only as the sun went down, both Xavier and the elders chasing him felt how the exhaustion overcame them. Yet neither of them wanted to admit this. Xavier panted. He pressed his back against a tree trunk, hidden in the thicket. Sweat ran down his forehead and back. His breathing was fast and heavy. I'm lucky that I have so many energy recovery pills with me. Without them, I'd be screwed. I hope this will be over soon. I'm sure these monsters can't keep flying all day either. It's already getting dark. Xavier brushed over his storage ring and took out some energy recovery pills. Afterward, he closed his eyes and tried to catch his breath. His numb muscles relaxed. Only as the sun completely sank did Xavier open his eyes again. He stood up and raised his head. Above him was a flying monster that did not move. Without waiting for the monster to wake up, Xavier rushed away. One of the people on the monster that was next to the elder sensed something. Xavier made a move. What should we do? The elder waved his hand. Maintain the formation and circle around him. Don't make a move just yet. Stay focused and don't let him out of your sight. As Xavier flashed through the forest, he turned his head for a split second to look at the sky. What are they doing? It did not take Xavier too long to sense what was happening. Suddenly, a flash of light appeared like a shooting star. Damn it, that is some powerful Q energy. They must have been waiting for reinforcement. Xavier cursed himself and sped up his pace. The bright light came to a sudden halt in front of the elders on the flying monster. Grandmaster Junie! Xavier clenched his fists and paused for a moment as he recognized the Q energy. Junie, I can't believe she showed up for this herself. Grandmaster Junie, Xavier has killed countless of our disciples. We cannot let him escape. No matter how much he suppresses the Q energy seal to trace him, he should not be able to escape completely. Besides, you have the same elemental attribute Grandmaster Shen Yun has, so it should be easy for you to sense his location, pointed out the elder. Grandmaster Junie trembled a bit. She was silent for a minute. No one around her dared to say a word. They all waited for her order. Within the dense forest, Xavier stopped and stared at Grandmaster Junie in the sky. If I keep running, they would immediately sense my exact position, and I have no chance to fight the Elders and Junie. Will she tell them where I am? She knows that all of this is dumb. There's no way she would reveal my position, right? Xavier's heart pounded. Now his escape depended on what decision Grandmaster Junie would make. Xavier waited anxiously. His body was hidden in the thicket of the forest. He was terrified to do as much as breathe. If he made any move, his position would be revealed to the Elders. They were flying above the forest, not too far from him. Grandmaster Junie let her eyes sweep over the forest. Xavier swallowed heavily. A bitter taste was in his mouth. If it is true what the Elders said and she has the same elemental attribute Grandmaster Shan Yun has, then she must know where I am. But is she going to tell them where I am? I thought she liked me. Xavier thought back to the time they had spent together in the mountain range of monsters. Now they were on the same mountain range, but in a very different position. Grandmaster Junie's face was cold and void of any emotion. She pointed at a spot within the forest. "Chase him!" Joy surfaced on the faces of the three Elders. Without hesitation, they turned towards the spot their leader pointed to and chased Xavier. Xavier's heart skipped a few beats. Shit, they discovered me. I need to run. Without wasting a second, Xavier went for the run. He did not dare to look back. His heart was pounding. Grandmaster Junie looked at Xavier as he fled deeper into the forest. There was no change in her cold expression. Any feelings she had for Xavier died as he almost destroyed her faction. The faction of the Misty Clouds was Junie's home. She grew up there. During these years, she was constantly reminded of her duty. Regardless of how she used to feel about Xavier, her faction was her highest priority. Nothing could change that. Meanwhile, Xavier activated his eagle wings. With all his strength, he catapulted himself high into the air. Like lightning, he flashed over the forest. I guess it can't be helped. They've discovered me, so I might as well use my wings. Master Lao, can you help me? Xavier could sense how the three Elders behind him came closer. His blood was running cold. They had no intention of giving up. Try your best to persevere, kid. That's all you can do, Lao encouraged. Grandmaster Junie did not join the chase yet. She glared at Xavier from high above. Mixed emotions were on her face. What, did you think after demolishing my home and killing my disciples I would still try to defend you? No, you will pay for your actions today. Xavier's skin crawled as he heard her cry. He had no time to turn around. He flapped his wings a few times to speed up his pace. The Elders behind him were getting closer and closer. Suddenly, the Q crystal in his body trembled slightly. A bright light came forth. Waves of pure Q energy flowed out of the crystal, fueling his body. Upon receiving this burst of energy, his eagle wings began to glow brighter. As they flapped, faint lightning appeared around them. Xavier's speed soared greatly. The gap between him and the Elders increased. One of them cursed. How did his speed increase so much? We need to make sure to not hold anything back. If we let him escape, our faction would be doomed. The Elders understood immediately. All of them let their powerful Q energy surge from their bodies. Enormous Q energy wings appeared on their bodies, and they leaped higher into the sky. Their speed increased tremendously. Within the blink of an eye, they were only a few feet behind Xavier. This is bad. Xavier tried to come up with a plan to escape the situation. A few ideas came to his mind, but he rejected all of them. None of them seemed good enough. He landed on the top of a tree and jumped down into the forest. As quickly as he could, he rushed deeper and deeper into the forest. Taking a few twists and turns, his sides were aching. Breathing was getting difficult. He could sense a few different Q energies near him. Suddenly, a shadow jumped behind Xavier and held a hand in front of Xavier's mouth to prevent him from screaming. Was it a trap? Xavier's heart stopped for a second. Calm down, Xavier. It is me, Phi. A soothing voice was heard. Xavier, who was about to surge his Q energy, calmed down. As he did so, Lady Phi removed her hand from his mouth. He turned around. Phi, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be here. You're getting yourself into danger. Xavier, it is fine. Really, don't worry. Those Elders from the faction of the Misty Clouds are being held back by the Old High. She hurriedly pulled out a map from a storage ring on her finger and handed it to Xavier.
Use this to escape. It's a map of the mountain range of monsters. Make your way to the south. Once you're out of the forest and sneak into the city, these elders will have a hard time finding you.
Xavier was so surprised he did not know how to respond. Some powerful Q-energy ripples appeared in the sky. Xavier held the map tightly, looking at Lady Phi's anxious face. He could not help but tear up. You all still try to help me? After all the trouble I keep causing? If anyone hears about this, your family, the Premier Clan, is getting themselves into a lot of danger. Lady Phi smiled.
We know what we're up against, Xavier. It's fine. We've been discussing this for a long time, and we have all decided to help you, no matter what sort of punishment the faction of the Misty Clouds might have in store for us.
Xavier took a grateful bow. You have no idea how much this means to me, Phi. I promise I will remember this and make up for it. You and the Ice Emperor have done so much for me. I will make sure to repay you 100-fold, even if this means I'll have to work for your family for an entire decade. Lady Phi reached out to Xavier's face and brushed some of his hair out of his face.
I already realized how special you are 3 years ago. I know that we will hear many legends and stories about you. Now hurry up and leave before the Elders and Grandmaster Junie arrive.
Xavier nodded. He quickly pulled her into a tight hug, causing Lady Phi to startle. Phi, I promise I will make up for this. I'll do anything you and your family ask me for, no matter what. Lady Phi reciprocated the hug and laughed.
I will keep this in mind. Remember that you were the one who offered it.
Xavier let go of her and laughed. Sure, you don't think I will not live up to my word, do you? Even if you would ask me to make you a queen, I'll do it, I promise. Lady Phi laughed some more and playfully punched Xavier's arm.
Don't worry about that. I have no interest in becoming a queen. There is only one thing I am interested in, but we can talk about this in the future. You really should hurry up now.
All right. Again, thank you, Phi. Thank the Ice Emperor as well. Tell him I will make up for it. Without wasting more time, Xavier shot into the darkness of the forest at lightning speed. The meeting with Lady Phi left him with new energy and new hope. Lady Phi kept standing at the spot and looked after Xavier until she could not see him anymore. A long while later, she let out a deep sigh.
I hope you'll make it, Xavier.
An angry cry startled Lady Phi. It was coming from the sky above. Flying units, capture him! Instantly, dozens of flying monsters in the night sky turned around and made a detour, pouncing towards the weak white glow in the forest. Lady Phi reacted quickly.
Shadow guards, listen up. We need to take them down.
Within a split second, numerous shadows jumped out from the bushes near Lady Phi. Their Q energy surged, causing a bright glow. Hearing the sounds behind him, Xavier sped up his pace. At the same time, he threw the map into the storage ring. He kept looking to the left and the right to make sure no one was coming closer. After a few hundred feet, he suddenly saw something in front of him. His eyes widened in shock. Xavier was so startled that he did not see the root that was standing out of the ground in front of him. His feet locked with the root, and he tripped over it. With his face forwards, he fell into the muddy earth. He raised his head, spat out some earth, and gasped for air. A human figure was looming above him. The figure was only a few feet in front of him. Xavier's pupils dilated as he recognized the silhouette. At a calm and steady pace, the figure walked closer. Xavier, who landed face forward on the ground of the forest, stood up. He brushed some dirt and mud off his clothes before unsheathing his broadsword ruler. The figure in front of him did not look impressed. Xavier gritted his teeth and took a jump back. Back off, or I will attack you, he warned. The human figure chuckled.
I am sorry, Xavier. I did not want to startle you. Are you all right?
Am I all right? You scared me to death. What are you going to do? Do you want to capture me and bring me to your faction, so that Grandmaster Shan Yun can execute me in public? Sneered Xavier.
Xavier, please, be reasonable about this. Grandmaster Shan Yun won't kill you.
The figure took a step closer to Xavier. Under the bright moonlight, Grandmaster Junie's sad face appeared. Xavier let out a cold laugh. He won't kill me? Did he really convince you of that? Don't be ridiculous. After everything that happened, you don't seriously expect him to keep me alive, do you?
No, I promise I won't let him kill you. For the sake of our old friendship, and because I know how much potential you have, I don't want to have you as an enemy of my faction. Please.
Grandmaster Junie requested. You don't want me as your enemy? Do you hear how you sound? Is there even the slightest chance of the faction of the Misty Clouds and me reconciling? Don't tell me you're dumb enough to think there's any hope left to salvage this relationship. If I end up at your faction, the only way out for me is if they carry my dead body out, and we both know it." Once more, Xavier laughed coldly. Grandmaster Junie opened her mouth, as if she wanted to say something, but then closed it again. She was smart enough to know that there was nothing she could say to persuade Xavier. She knew that the chance of Grandmaster Shan Yun sparing Xavier's life was non-existent. Silently, she was hoping for a miracle. "Oh, just cut this bullshit out already and attack me. We both know it will come to this anyways." Xavier braced himself for an attack. Grandmaster Junie looked at him. It was impossible to read her expression. She swallowed and thought for a moment. Eventually, she looked away and shook her head. "I'm sorry, I can't. I know that fighting against you won't lead to anything." Xavier furrowed his brows and lowered the broadsword ruler. "What the hell are you talking about?" "I have seen you fight, Xavier. I am no idiot. I know how much potential you have. I really don't want to have you as an enemy. If I let you go, can you promise me to let me live if we see each other again?" Grandmaster Junie looked at Xavier with pleading eyes. For a moment, Xavier could have sworn there was something else she wanted to add, but he quickly shook those thoughts out of his head. "As long as you don't attack me, I won't attack you," Xavier said after thinking this through for a moment. A faint smile appeared on Grandmaster Junie's face. "I appreciate that. Thank you, Xavier." Xavier also smiled at her and rushed past her to escape. Suddenly, Grandmaster Junie waved her hands. A Q energy came forth. Xavier's pupils dilated. He was only a few feet in front of her as the Q energy aimed at him. Did she attack me after all? Xavier did not know how to react. Before he could shield himself, the Q energy blast hit him. Much to his surprise, nothing happened. "Huh? What was that?" Xavier did not stop to look back. Lau's laughter echoed through Xavier's mind. "She destroyed the tracking seal that Grandmaster Shen Yun placed on you. I think she really likes you." Xavier rolled his eyes. "Not sure how much she likes me after I destroyed almost all of her faction. It's like she said. She does not want me as an enemy because she knows how much potential I have. I don't think there is anything else to it." Lau hummed. He seemed to be lost in thought. "Are you sure about this? You see, we do not decide who we like or dislike. Our hearts do." Xavier paused as he heard this. He turned around. In the distance, not too far away, he saw Grandmaster Junie. Xavier was stunned as he looked at her. Despite everything in his mind that told him to keep running, he walked back toward her. "Junie, why did you do that?" Grandmaster Junie was leaning against a tree with crossed arms. She could not bring herself to look into Xavier's eyes. "What do you mean?" she asked. "What do I mean? You destroyed the tracking seal. Why? Why are you helping me after everything that happened?" Xavier stared at her. She still did not look at him as she answered. "Does it matter? Just leave already. You should leave the Empire of the Heavens. Make sure to not return. You were right about what you said. Grandmaster Shan Yun won't leave you alive if he sees you again." Xavier took a short, grateful bow. "Thank you. I'm sorry it had to come to this." Grandmaster Junie rolled her eyes and waved him off. Xavier did not move. She furrowed her thin eyebrows. "Why aren't you leaving? I told you to go, didn't I?" With an angry glare, she turned her head towards Xavier. As their eyes met, her expression softened. Logic told her that, given her status and duty, she should kill him on the spot. However, some strange feeling prevented her from acting on it. She cursed herself. Xavier smiled briefly. "Right now, you remind me a lot more of Luna, who I met back then. I kept thinking about the days we'd spent together, and wondered what happened to you. That was before I learned about, well, you being the leader of the faction of the Misty Clouds and all." He laughed awkwardly and rubbed the back of his head. Grandmaster Junie blushed brightly. Luckily, it was too dark to see much. Her heart suddenly began to race. Never before had she felt something like this. She felt like a deer caught in headlights. Before she could say anything, Xavier pulled her in a hug. Her face turned even redder. She feared that she might pass out or have a heart attack from how fast her heart was pounding. She knew that if she wanted to, she could kill Xavier on the spot right now. Yet at the moment, she did not want to think about that. All she wanted to do was enjoy this hug. She tried to think of the last time she had been so close to anyone, but could not come up with an answer. Tears formed in her eyes. After a minute, Xavier let go of her. I hope the next time we meet each other, we don't have to fight again. It would be nice to spend some time together without needing to kill each other, don't you think? Either way, please tell Grandmaster Shan Yun that I will return once I am stronger. This is not over. Grandmaster Junie shook her head. I hope you never return, Xavier. As much as it pains me to say this, it will be for the better if we would never see each other again. Xavier did not hear any of this. He already sprinted back into the dark depths of the forest. Grandmaster Junie sighed and raised her head to the sky. The stars above her reflected in her wet eyes. They quickly disappeared. She cleared her throat and put on her usual cold and regal attitude. She could not afford to have anyone see her cry. Like a ghost, she disappeared under the moonlight. Xavier kept running and running all night. Not once did he dare to stop. Only as the sun began to rise did he slow down. Even as he thought he was safe, he kept himself hidden. I need to make sure they're not following me anymore. It would be best to stay hidden for a few days before heading to the next city that is marked on the map. Lao hummed. I agree. This would be for the best. I will let you know when I can sense anyone coming closer. All right. Thank you, Master. Xavier kept walking through the forest, looking for a place to stay and find some rest. The next day, he kept walking and walking. After 3 days, he ended up finding a cave, where he stayed for a few days. This went on for about 12 days until Xavier was getting closer to the nearest city, the one that was marked on the map that Lady Phi gave to him. The city was called Ling City. It was not as large as the capital, but when compared to Wutan City, it was still quite large. Moreover, it was bordering to the mountain range of monsters. Countless adventurers and mercenaries were causing a never-ending flow of human traffic in and out of the city. Occasionally, some carriages with monster remains entered the city as well. It was so busy that the northern gate was clogged by the flow of people trying to enter and exit the city. 7 large men walked out of the forest and marched to the gate. Ugh, what an awful day. We've lost 2 of our men to kill a level 2 monster, and we did not even get a monster heart from its body. One of the men cursed loudly. Behind him was a cart pulled by a horse. On this cart was the giant blood-covered body of a monster. Its several tails were hanging from the cart. It had been cut open, and nothing was left inside. If there was a level 2 monster heart in this thing, we could afford to get a high-leveled Hunter Q method from the auction house, added the man. The man next to him laughed. High-leveled Hunter Q method? You don't think we could afford one of those from just one monster heart? Are you an idiot? It would cost us 110,000 gold coins to get our hands on it. Who knows, if we get lucky, we can perhaps find this guy that the faction of the Misty Clouds is looking for. Anyone who gives them any clue about his location gets a Q method. Can you imagine that? Man, they really want this poor fool dead. One of the men laughed loudly. A greedy desire flashed up in his eyes. Their leader threw him an angry glare. Are you serious? Didn't you hear what this guy did to the faction of the Misty Clouds? There's a reason they want him dead. He charged into the faction of the Misty Clouds twice and killed their first elder. He escaped from the hands of Shan Yun, who is on the level of a warlord. Do you think we could afford to run into someone who is picking fights with people like that? We would be dead in seconds. You wouldn't have enough time to brace yourself for an attack if he showed up. The other man laughed awkwardly. I'm just joking around. Don't get mad at me. But don't you sometimes dream about becoming a hero? Anyway, I think all the rewards will get a lot of powerful people interested. Even if he escaped from the faction of the Misty Clouds, it would be hard for him to keep hiding, don't you think? I would not want to be in his place right now. The leader flexed his teeth. I don't waste my time daydreaming, and I would recommend you stop daydreaming as well. It will only get you into trouble. Keep your guard up, or you won't make it long as a mercenary. Just as he said this, Xavier, covered in a black robe, walked up behind them. Sounds like word about my escape is spreading. I should have thought as much. How long was I on the run? It must have been 2 weeks, or close to it, since I escaped. Let's see what this city has in store for us, he thought. Xavier was about to head to the gate of Ling City, when he suddenly heard Lao's warning voice in his head. Xavier, wait, do you see that? Xavier did not know what Lao was referring to. He furrowed his brows and looked around. I see the city gate, some mercenaries, some merchants and adventurers, and... oh. He frowned as he saw some old people in familiar silver-white robes near the gate. In their hands was a wanted poster with Xavier's face drawn on it. They showed this wanted poster to everyone who was entering the city. "The faction of the Misty Clouds. This is bad. How can we get past them?" asked Xavier. Lau sighed. "I don't think there's any way, kid. I'm sorry. If they don't spot you, someone else will snitch you out. You've heard how many rewards there are for anyone who has a clue about your location. I don't think any of these mercenaries would pass up on an opportunity to get a free Q method." "But I still have my mask with me. Couldn't I just put it on and pretend to be someone else?" questioned Xavier. "I'm not sure if this will work, Xavier. You wore the mask during the alchemy competition, remember? If they recognize you from there, they will immediately connect the dots and know who you are," Lau reminded. "Then what should we do, Master Lau? Head back into the mountain range of monsters and wait until they're gone?" Xavier asked. "That seems to be the best course of action. We can wait for a few more days in the mountain range and come back later. We cannot afford to be too careless now," Lau agreed. Xavier's heart sank. "I got really tired of hiding in the forest day after day. I was also looking for something good to eat as an exchange, but I guess you're right. Spending a few more days in the mountain range seems to be safer right now. Perhaps I can get back to the cave I found and train a bit." "That is a good idea. You can try and learn how to use the secret technique you've discovered," Lau replied. A spark lit up in Xavier's eyes as he heard those words. "Yeah, that sounds like a plan. Learning how to increase my strength will definitely be beneficial right now, don't you think?" "I absolutely agree, kid. Now let's hurry back. You don't want them to see you, do you?" Xavier hurriedly nodded and snuck back into the forest behind him without looking back. Luckily, he knew his way around and therefore did not struggle to find the cave he found a few days ago. It took him about 5 hours to reach it. On his way, he encountered and killed a few smaller monsters, not for their hearts, but for their meat. "They don't taste good, but their meat is edible, and I can't live off berries for weeks." Xavier sighed and made a small fire near a river. He put the small monsters on a stick and placed them over the fire to roast them. While they were cooking, he chatted with Lau about everything that had happened while he was asleep. Lau seemed to be happy. "You really have come a long way. I'm very proud of you, kid. Honestly, I was worried about leaving you alone. I was unsure if you would get yourself into more trouble than you can handle while I was gone." Xavier laughed it off. "You know I can handle myself. It's fine. Still, I'm glad to have you back. It's been pretty lonely. Talking to yourself all the time does not help much, and I was blaming myself a lot for what happened. If I wouldn't have been so reckless and merged the heavenly flames, you would not have wasted all your spiritual energy. This was all my fault. I shouldn't have acted so recklessly." "Don't worry, Xavier. It's fine. I'm still alive after all. It's not as if you've murdered me," Lau laughed. "And to be honest, I'm very impressed. I've been alive for a very long time, and never before even considered merging heavenly flames to form an attack. I had no idea this was possible. That is a tremendous task, truly." Xavier faintly blushed. Once he ate, Xavier put the fire out and headed into the cave behind him. It was not too spacious, but large enough for about 5 people to enter and stand upright. Xavier made sure to hide the entrance of the cave with leaves and twigs. Once this was done, he reached into his sleeve and pulled out the rainbow-devouring python. "Can you do me a favor?" "I'll take that as a yes. Please stay outside of the cave and keep watch while I'm practicing my secret technique. I don't want anyone or anything to disturb me. If you sense anything, let me know immediately, all right?" instructed Xavier. The python seemed to understand. It nodded its head a few times and headed outside the cave entrance through a small hole in the corner that Xavier had left open. Xavier sat down with crossed legs and closed his eyes. Instinctively, he knew how to use the secret technique. Thanks to the flood of information that had entered his head as he opened the rock that contained the secret technique. Xavier waved his hands and focused on his breath. He used his inner vision to activate the Q pathways as instructed, yet for some reason, nothing happened. He furrowed his brows. Once more, he tried to activate the Q pathways by sending Q energy through them. Still, nothing. Why isn't it working? Shouldn't it work now? Master Lau, am I doing something wrong? "I can't tell you that. It's a secret technique. Only you know how it should work," Master Lau replied. But I'm doing everything right. I don't understand why this does not work. Is there any trick to it? Xavier asked. Lau hummed. I don't know. Are you sure you're doing everything correctly? Yes, I am. Why is nothing happening? Xavier opened his eyes and let himself fall on his back with an annoyed groan. I'm so confused. I guess I'll get back to training and try again later. He rubbed his temples and sat up. Xavier then entered his training mode. He trained for a few hours before he went back to practice his new secret technique. Again, he followed the instructions step by step. Despite this, nothing happened. He grew frustrated. This went on for the entire next day as well. It was already getting dark outside as the rainbow-devouring python came rushing into the cave. Xavier's eyes sprang open. You saw something? What is it? Lau, can you check? I already did. Don't worry. There appears to be a monster outside. I can't estimate what level it's on, but when I see how nervous the rainbow-devouring python is, I believe it must be at least a level 5 monster, Lau informed. Xavier's eyes widened. Level 5? Do you think it'll come after us? No, I'm not worried about that. It appears to be wounded. Maybe you should take a look and see if you can kill it. I can sense that its Q energy is getting weaker and weaker. Xavier nodded. He stretched himself, stood up, and removed the twigs and leaves from the entrance to walk out of the cave. Once he was outside, the full moon was in the sky. The first stars appeared as well, yet on the distant horizon, the sky was still burning in bright orange. Only another hour, and it would be night. Xavier carefully watched his steps. He did not want to make any noise by stepping on any twigs. He braced himself for any sudden attack. Master Lau, can you see where this wounded monster is? Walk down the small stream. I think it went to drink something there. I can sense that it is not too far from us. Keep your guard up. The scent of a monster's blood might lure more monsters here. We don't want any other monster to show up and get there, Lau warned. Xavier nodded and walked down the small stream near the cave. Lau was right. It did not take him too long to arrive in front of the wounded monster. Xavier did not want to walk up close immediately. He observed it from a distance while hiding in the bushes for a while. He tried to make out as many details as possible before approaching. He also wanted to wait to see if any other monster would show up. The rainbow-devouring python was following close behind. At least the python will keep any low-leveled monsters away. Lau, can you sense if there is any other high-leveled monster nearby that could cause us any trouble? Of course, just give me a moment, Lau said, and checked if the surrounding area was safe. Meanwhile, Xavier kept his eyes fixated on the wounded monster near him. After a good minute, Lau's voice echoed through Xavier's mind again. There appears to be nothing close by. The only other Q energy I could sense was a bunch of mercenaries who set up camp about a mile from here. I don't think they would cause us any trouble. Xavier nodded. The high grass near the river shore made it hard to see the entire body of the monster. All he could see was that the monster had white fur. Patches of it were dyed dark red with blood. Xavier could also make out a deep wound on one of its legs. An ethereal white glow surrounded the monster. With every second, this ethereal glow diminished. What sort of monster is this? Xavier kept staring at the wounded monster in the high grass at the river. Something about it mesmerized him. Lau hummed and thought for a moment. I know what it is, but I am not sure what one of them is doing here. They're usually found far in the west, outside the Empire of the Heavens. What I can tell you is that they are harmless. Go ahead, you can approach it. It won't attack you. Xavier furrowed his brows. It won't attack me? A monster on such a high level? Are you sure about this? I am, I promise. Now go ahead, and if you can, take its horn. The horn of this monster is famous for its healing abilities. Some say it can even raise the dead, although I'm not sure if this is true or just a myth. Xavier nodded and slowly walked towards the monster. As he got closer, he recognized what sort of monster it was. His eyes widened. A unicorn? Really? I thought they only exist in myths. As soon as he said this sentence, Xavier wanted to smack himself. After everything that happened, I should not be so surprised to see a unicorn, should I? He shook his head and walked up to the unicorn. It looked exactly like the ones he had seen in movies. A snow-white horse with a silver glowing horn on its head. The unicorn suddenly noticed Xavier. With its remaining strength, it tried to stand up and flee. With every move it made, more blood came from the deep wound on its hind leg. "Whoa, calm down. It's okay. I don't want to hurt you," Xavier uttered. Although Xavier originally wanted to kill whatever wounded monster he found, he suddenly changed his mind. There was something about this ethereal creature that he did not want to harm. The unicorn seemed to understand. It stopped struggling. There was still a look of suspicion in its eyes. Xavier brushed over his storage ring, and some healing medicine came forth. "I'm trying to help you, I promise. Just stay calm and you'll be fine." Xavier walked to the unicorn and rubbed the healing medicine onto the wound. The unicorn made some noises, as if it was in pain, but once the bleeding stopped, it quickly relaxed. The ethereal white glow surrounding the unicorn grew stronger. Xavier was relieved. "See? Not that bad, is it?"
"No, not at all. Thank you, Master Alchemist."
As the unicorn answered, Xavier was startled. Unsure what to say, Xavier just shrugged his shoulders and laughed. "I should have figured that the unicorn can talk. If it's at least on level 5, it must be as smart as a human and learned how to speak." Xavier cleared his throat. "Can I ask what hurt you this much? The wound looked pretty deep. Is there any monster nearby that I should worry about?" The unicorn shook its head.
"There are not many monsters nearby, aside from the rainbow-devouring python that is traveling with you."
"Then what hurt you?" Xavier inquired.
"There is a group of human mercenaries close by. They kept chasing me, but I escaped. One of their spears hit me."
The unicorn made a sound that almost sounded like a sigh. Xavier nodded. "I see. I could sense that there were a bunch of people close by. I think they set up camp for the night, so you should have time until tomorrow morning to escape." Xavier brushed over the white fur. It was unbelievably soft. As the wound was fully healed, the unicorn stood up. It turned its head towards Xavier.
"Have you seen where the mercenaries are? I don't want to run into them. These mercenaries keep hunting me for my horn. I ran all the way here from the western coast to find a peaceful place to live in this mountain range. They told me that there is a hidden valley for beings like me, far in the north of the mountain range. Thank you, Master Alchemist. Here, take this as a thank you."
The unicorn suddenly shook its head violently, and its horn fell off. Xavier was confused. Your horn? Wait, you said the mercenaries were hunting you for the horn. Why do you give it to me willingly? I did not know unicorns could do this."
"Of course I want to give it to you. You are an alchemist, aren't you? I'm sure you can put it to much better use than these cruel mercenaries. After all, our horns are supposed to heal, not harm. I don't even want to think what these mercenaries would do with my horn if they got their hands on it. If you run into them, don't tell them you have it. I don't want them to turn it into a weapon. And don't worry about me. The horn will grow back in a few years."
The unicorn sounded amused. It took a bow toward Xavier and turned around. Gracefully, it leapt over the small stream and disappeared in the night. Xavier was left behind with a dumbstruck face. He picked up the unicorn horn from the ground. He expected it to feel hard and cold like ordinary monster horns, but that wasn't the case at all. It felt warm and soothing to the touch. "That was weird," Xavier murmured. "Don't complain about this. That was incredible. I also had no idea unicorns could do that. I've never had the pleasure of meeting one. They are getting rarer and rarer these days. You should go back to the cave and refine the horn into a powder. This powder can be used to heal and strengthen all sorts of medical issues," Lau suggested. Xavier nodded. He went back to the cave and closed it off with twigs and leaves. The rainbow-devouring python kept standing guard outside. Xavier summoned his green heavenly flame and refined the unicorn horn until it was a fine white, shimmering powder. He could sense strong energy coming from it. Out of curiosity, Xavier dipped his finger inside and licked it off. He immediately made a face. "It tastes like a horse," he exclaimed. Suddenly, a warm, soothing Q energy entered his body. It was unlike any Q energy he had felt before. Xavier stored the bottle with the refined unicorn horn in his storage ring and entered his training mode. Using his inner vision, he went to look at the new Q energy that just entered his body. "That is weird. The Q energy is so pure, I don't have to refine it. There's no impurity at all." Xavier decided to not complain about this, and led the pure Q energy through all his Q pathways to his Q cyclone. Suddenly, he could sense something odd. A warmth overcame him. It went from his neck down to his spine. Moments later, a white glow appeared around him. The white glow vanished as quickly as it came. Xavier did not let this distract him. He continued to pour all the Q energy into his Q cyclone. Once he was done, he opened his eyes. Another white glow flashed through his eyes. Xavier saw Lau's ghostly form in front of him. Something seemed to have surprised him. "Master Lau, why do you seem so shocked? Did something happen?" "Well, yes, but it is nothing bad. You've reached the next level. You're a level 4 She-Master now. Congratulations," Master Lau said with a smile. Xavier grinned from ear to ear. "I didn't even have to do anything for this. I can see why people want to find unicorns so badly. Do you think I can take some more of the powder and do this again?" Master Lau shook his head. "I would be very surprised if this would be the case. Usually, effects like these only work once since the body will develop immunity towards ingredients and potions. Otherwise, everyone would do it. But if you are curious, then try for yourself." Xavier thought about this carefully. "I don't want to skip too many levels without putting any effort into it, but I'm curious to see if you're right." Lau shook his head and laughed. "I guarantee you I am right, so don't worry about skipping too many levels. Honestly, I think it would be a waste of a precious ingredient if you keep doing this." Xavier kept thinking about it. In the end, curiosity got the better of him. He pulled the bottle with the refined unicorn horn from his storage ring and dipped his finger inside again to lick it off. Again, he felt the pure Q energy enter his body. He closed his eyes. Xavier repeated the process from before, then opened his eyes. He sighed. "I should have listened to you," Lau hummed. "See, I told you." Xavier nodded. "I'm sorry. After everything that happened, I should not doubt you." He laughed awkwardly. "I will get back to try and practice a secret technique." With this, Xavier closed his eyes again and focused on the steps to activate the secret technique. Lau kept a close eye on him. After about 20 minutes, something happened. Xavier's Q energy began to surge. Lau beamed with joy. "It works. You did it. You've increased your level to the one of a level 5 She-Master. Keep in mind that this will only last for a short while. The more you practice, the higher you can reach." Xavier opened his eyes. As he looked at his body, he could sense that a faint white glow shrouded him. "Why does it work now? Do you think the unicorn horn helped me?" "I'm not sure. It does not make any sense that the unicorn horn would help you to develop your secret technique. It's an ingredient that is mainly used for healing wounds, and if the legends are true, to resurrect the dead. Although I cannot tell you much about this. But perhaps there is something else it helped you with." "What do you mean, Master Lau?" Lau rubbed his chin. "Perhaps one of your Q pathways was blocked from the wounds you received during the fight. The pure Q energy of the unicorn horn might have unblocked it." "A blocked Q pathway? But shouldn't I have noticed that, Master Lau?" Xavier asked. Lau tilted his head a bit. "Not necessarily. Even if only a small section of a Q pathway is blocked, it would be enough to completely block your Q energy from flowing freely. It's important to always keep the Q pathways clear of any blockage, no matter how small." "I see what you mean. Perhaps it was a Q pathway in my neck. I felt some soothing feeling crawling down my neck when I tried the refined unicorn horn for the first time." Xavier tried to make sense of it. Lau nodded. "Yes, that could make sense. How interesting. Still, try not to use it too often, or let the refined unicorn powder go to waste. It's a very rare ingredient, and I don't think we'll ever find another." "I understand, Master Lau." Xavier smiled and went back to practice his secret technique. Ever since Xavier escaped the faction of the Misty Clouds, he relied on the map that Lady Phi gave him. 2 weeks after his escape, he found himself at the gate of Ling City again. This city was close to the northwestern border of the Empire of the Heavens. It was nowhere near as large as the capital, but a lot larger than Wutan City. Surrounding it was a high wall made of stone. "If I keep using the map as a reference, it should be easy to travel through Ling City. There are a few places in the city marked as checkpoints. Once I pass all of them, I'll be at the border of the Empire of the Heavens. All I need to do is cross the border, and the faction of the Misty Clouds can't do anything about me anymore. They do have some influence outside of the Empire of the Heavens, but not enough to place a warrant on my head. Since the faction of the Misty Cloud spent so many centuries establishing themselves in the Empire of the Heavens, they completely neglected to establish themselves in other empires. Xavier laughed a bit as he checked the map that Lady Fi gave him. By now, he had memorized almost every detail of the map. He then placed it back into his storage ring before walking towards Ling City. I'm glad I have you back with me, Master Lao. Otherwise, the 2 weeks in the mountain range would have been a lot more difficult. Xavier could hear Master Lao chuckle in his mind. It is not like you were completely on your own, were you? The rainbow-devouring python was a very helpful ally during the 2 weeks in the mountain range. Xavier nodded. I guess so, but there are quite a number of monsters who were on an even higher level than the rainbow-devouring python. They were not exactly scared of the python. Lao hummed in agreement. At least it was a good training opportunity. You have now become a level 4 She-Master, and we obtained a unicorn horn, which is incredible. Well done, kid. Xavier could not help but laugh. Some people near him gave Xavier some strange looks. Yeah, that is really incredible. I didn't think that I would walk out as a level 4 She-Master. Anyway, we should enter Ling City before it gets late. Xavier walked up to the city gate and queued up at the end of the line. He looked all around to see what sort of people entered the city. Most of them are mercenaries and adventurers. That does make sense. The mountain range of monsters is directly next to Ling City. It looks like no elder from the faction of the Misty Clouds is here this time. I will still put on the mask, just in case. Xavier muttered. I'm afraid that won't be of any help, Xavier. Look. Xavier heard Lao's voice in his mind. Xavier looked around and saw 2 soldiers with a wanted poster in front of the gate. On one side of the wanted poster was Xavier's face. On the other one was his disguised face with the mask. Man, they really don't want to leave me any chance, do they? Xavier let out a bitter laugh. He looked over the masses of people who entered the city. The soldiers really checked every single person entering. Xavier frowned. Is the Imperial family quietly helping the faction of the Misty Clouds? Master Haru should be smart enough that this would just get him and the Imperial family into trouble. Additionally, the Imperial family does not like the faction of the Misty Clouds. Why would they help the faction by telling their soldiers to search for me? Xavier's question was answered as a man in front of him cursed loudly. This bastard Sung is really getting arrogant. I can't believe he thinks he has any chance to capture Xavier as some low-level guard. If Xavier would show up, he could kick his ass without any effort. A woman next to him hushed. Don't be so loud. You know that Sung has ties to the faction of the Misty Clouds. Ever since he heard about the faction searching for Xavier, he made it his highest priority. The man next to her rolled his eyes and spat on the ground. So, who gives a shit about that? Someone should tell the Imperial family what their soldiers are doing here behind their backs. Sung is nothing but a bully, trying to intimidate people with his influence. Like this would get him anywhere. What do you mean like this would get him anywhere? He was a disciple of the faction of the Misty Clouds. You know these disciples are well respected and have an easy time gaining power and influence. If he catches Xavier, the faction will immediately promote him to deacon of the faction, or perhaps even an elder. The woman next to the man reminded him. Xavier overheard their conversation. This makes a lot more sense. So this guard has ties with the faction of the Misty Clouds. Xavier mused for a while. The queue in front of him got shorter and shorter. The guards next to the gate looked sleepy. They must have gotten tired after standing here all day, checking every person that entered the city. As Xavier almost reached the front of the queue, he took a sharp turn towards a remote area next to the city wall. He activated his eagle wings and catapulted himself into the air. Before the guards saw what was going on, Xavier leapt over the wall and landed on the other side. Afterward, he withdrew his wings and ran around a few streets, just to make sure to get rid of anyone who saw him. Perhaps I should search for some more information about the faction of the Misty Clouds before leaving the Empire. I want to be prepared when I face them the next time. Xavier strolled through the alleys. As he saw another wanted poster on the pillar of a building, he froze. The drawing of him was very well done. It was easy to recognize his face. Under his portrait was a long list with rewards one would get for any clues. Lao's concerned voice echoed through Xavier's mind. This is going to be a lot of trouble. We need to leave the Empire of the Heavens as soon as possible. You can search for information about the faction of the Misty Clouds once we come back. Xavier sighed and nodded. All right, there's nothing we can do about that, can we? I feel like a stray dog without anywhere to go. Hey, kid, why are you sulking again? There's no need for that. You've challenged the faction of the Misty Clouds and managed to escape in one piece. That's an incredible task, don't you think? Such a story will leave countless people shocked. Additionally, now there are thousands of people who admire you and your courage. I'm sure the faction of the Misty Clouds has many enemies, but I cannot think of one person that would be bold enough to stand up against them. You are a hero, Lau praised. Xavier blushed upon hearing Lau's praise. He forced an awkward laugh. I guess. Thank you, Master Lau. Oh, there was something I wanted to ask you. Back when we met, you said that you wanted me to help you refine a body to hold your spirit by using the heavenly flames. How exactly would this work? Lau was silent. Xavier could sense how his master's Q energy trembled. Immediately, Xavier felt bad for asking. Sorry, I guess this must be a sensitive topic. It's just that I completely forgot about it until you passed out. I really want to help you with this. You've done so much for me, and I want to make up for it. Lau manifested himself in his ghostly form next to Xavier. On his face was a sad smile. It is fine, Xavier. Don't feel bad. I just did not expect you to ask this out of the blue. You see, back when I met you and gave you the Flame Mantra Q method, my goal was for you to create a special merged flame to refine a body that could contain my spirit. Being stuck in this ring for so many years is a torment worse than anything you can imagine. I want to have a body again and see the world, not from the inside of this ring, but from the outside, with my own eyes. I want to feel the wind on my skin again and smell the sweet scent of flowers. I've been in this ring for so long that I cannot remember what they smell like, or what anything smells like. Being stuck inside an object for so many years is a punishment that I do not wish upon my worst enemy. Xavier looked at the ancient black ring on his finger, and then back at Lau with a faint smile. I will do my best to refine you a body. It's the least I can do. With your help, I've accomplished more in the past 3 years than in my entire life. I want to thank you. Xavier smiled. Lau chuckled and shook his head. Since when are you so sentimental? This is unusual. You've invested a lot of time and energy in me, Master Lau. I know that I need to repay you for it. I promise that I will find a way to create a body for you in the future. Lau was moved. He smiled. I'm happy to hear that. If it makes you feel better, I'm very glad to be your master. An outstanding student like yourself is hard to come by. I always wished I could have a student like you. Xavier smiled and turned red. He was not sure how to reply to this, so he tried to change the subject. How many heavenly flames will I need to create a body for you? Lau thought for a moment. I can't be sure of this. I believe 3 different types of heavenly flames should be enough. Back when I obtained the Flame Mantra Q method, Lau suddenly stopped mid-sentence. Something about this memory seemed to pain him. 3 different heavenly flames. Does this mean I have to find 1 more or 2 more? After all, the white bone-chilling heavenly flame is not really mine. It's yours. Xavier questioned. Lau nodded. It is mine, but I will lend you my strength to use the white bone-chilling heavenly flame to refine a body. I hope it will work, although I don't want to make any promise that it will. As I have said, I have never done something like this before. All my knowledge about it is only theoretical. There is only one way to figure out if it will really work. I see. I hope you're right, Master Lau. It was difficult enough to obtain 1 heavenly flame. It will take a while to get another one. Once this is done, do you think you will reach your former strength? That might be a bit difficult, but as long as I keep practicing within my new body, perhaps I will become even stronger. Lau chuckled. A mischievous smile was on his wrinkled face. He did not bother to hide his confidence. Xavier grew curious. What level do you think you can reach? I'm not sure about that, kid, but I think I could defeat Grandmaster Shan Yun in 10 rounds without effort. Briefly, a sort of haughtiness appeared on his face. Xavier was not sure if he could believe this. Part of Xavier felt bad for questioning his master, but another part of him felt like this sounded too unbelievable. Grandmaster Shan Yun is a warlord. What you are implying is that you can reach the level of a war king? That does sound incredible, but are you sure? Hey, are you still questioning me? I thought we talked about this before, numerous times. Lau rolled his eyes. Xavier rubbed the back of his head. Yeah, I guess we did. Sorry. I know I should know better. Anyway, you mentioned there was a heavenly flame at Nanji Academy, didn't you, Master Lau? Master Lao laughed. Yes, I did. The heavenly flame at Nanji Academy is called the Fallen Heart Flame. Fallen Heart Flame, Xavier repeated. Looks like I have another mission I should keep in mind. We should not waste any more time. Let us leave the Empire of the Heavens right away. The earlier we leave, the better. Not so fast, kid. Nanji Academy is located at a junction between the empires. That area is very vast. It is very chaotic there. Countless factions interlace with each other at the junction. Each time Nanji Academy recruits students, there are instructors who escort them to keep them safe, Lao informed. Where are you going with this, Master Lao? Xavier asked, confused. If you were not well prepared, you might end up falling for someone's dirty tricks. Additionally, I was checking through your storage ring while you were training. Most of the medicine and energy recovery pills have been more or less exhausted. We need to stock up before going anywhere, or you are in a lot of trouble. Xavier swallowed heavily and nodded. I completely forgot. I was swallowing a lot of energy recovery pills while escaping from the faction of the Misty Clouds. Then let us look for the next auction house. After that, I'll try to figure out how many people from the faction of the Misty Clouds are in the city. Lao nodded. That sounds like a good plan, but make sure that no one recognizes you. I understand. Xavier kept the mask on. Additionally, he pulled the hoodie from his robe over his face. Only the tip of his nose and mouth were left visible. Without wasting more time, he turned around and headed to the nearest premier auction house. It was marked on the map Lady Phi gave him. Xavier immediately went to the VIP section of the auction house. He brushed over his storage ring, and a card made of crystal came forth. It was a card that Louis Premier gave Xavier quietly as they met in the capital. The Ice Emperor insisted on giving Xavier one. This card would allow him to get any sort of assistance in any of the auction houses that are owned by the Premier family. No one at the auction house asked any questions. Even if anyone had recognized Xavier, they would have kept silent. Louis Premier instructed everyone working for the family to side with Xavier, and not the faction of the Misty Clouds. Everyone knew that if they disobeyed the order, there would be severe consequences. Only an hour later, Xavier walked out with a smile on his face. His storage ring was full of all sorts of ingredients. He did not bother to search for a hotel to stay in the city. Instead, he quietly escaped from the city in the same way he came. He headed straight up to the cave in the forest to refine large amounts of medicine pills and energy recovery pills. 3 days after Xavier hid in the forest to refine pills for his adventure, he walked out of the cave, cloaked in black. Occasionally, he raised his head to check out his surroundings. There was nothing to be heard, aside from the rustling leaves and birds chirping. I guess I'll have to avoid the city nearby. If there are any elders of the faction of the Misty Clouds and they see me, I'll be in a lot of trouble. Luckily, this was easy to do. The only downside was that it took a bit longer. Xavier decided to walk towards the west of the forest. As he was far away from the city, he exited the forest and headed along a road towards the south. Xavier was not in a hurry. He strolled at a calm pace. With Lao's help, Xavier had stocked up on hundreds of pills. He felt relieved. With all these pills, I'm prepared for anything. Now all I need to do is follow this road. It'll lead directly to the border of the Empire of the Heavens. We need to be careful, though. On the way, there are 3 military strongholds. I've heard that there is a 30,000-man strong army stationed at the last stronghold. I've also heard that a former member of the faction of the Misty Clouds is a commander there. His name was Commander Meng, if I remember it right. They said he's on the level of a battle spirit. I'm sure he's searching for me since he is a former member of the faction. This might make things difficult. Additionally, I imagine that Grandmaster Shan Yun knows that I want to flee from the Empire. I'm sure he increased the members of the faction at the border. Xavier thought and thought about how to cross the border. His mind was racing. Passing the first 2 strongholds was not too difficult. Xavier passed both of them after traveling for 3 days. The troops stationed at the first 2 strongholds did not pay Xavier too much attention. There were also no members of the faction of the Misty Clouds. The final one was the closest to the border, and therefore, the one that was the most challenging. There were the most soldiers stationed there, and there was also a chance that Xavier would run into Commander Meng. I can see the last stronghold in the distance. The wall around it is almost as high as a small mountain. There are definitely archers positioned on the top of the wall. Flying above or near the stronghold is a bad idea. Xavier sighed. He knew that it was illegal to fly anywhere near military strongholds. If one flew near them and got spotted, they would immediately get shot. All I can do is take one step after the other and see how it goes. Perhaps I can sneak through with the crowd. Xavier hesitated momentarily, but then disappeared into the ocean of people who also wanted to cross the border. Amongst those people was also a large group of about 100 intimidating men and women. They all wore the same uniform and cursed loudly. At first glance, they all looked like a bunch of strong mercenaries. However, they were not. Unlike ordinary mercenaries who hunted for monsters, these men hunted for criminals and wanted people. They were closer to bounty hunters than ordinary mercenaries. They did not care for the chaos and bloodshed near the border. If anything, they enjoyed it. It kept them busy and paid their bills, and if the payment was right, they did not care what sort of person they had to kill. Although this sort of work was highly rewarded, the risks that came with it were equally high. A few hundred men being killed on a bad day was nothing out of the ordinary. Those mercenaries look very intimidating. I wonder where they are headed, Xavier murmured silently. Lau answered immediately. I believe they are crossing the border and then heading to the east. A few dozen miles to the east is the Black Zone. Xavier knitted his eyebrows. The Black Zone? I've never heard of that. What is the Black Zone? Xavier heard Lau's bitter laugh in his mind. I'm not surprised you've never heard of that, kid. It's for the better, really. The Black Zone is the most chaotic area on the continent of the heavens. Countless powerful people from all the empires flee into the Black Zone and fight for a living. Not only humans, but also all sorts of monsters, snake people, and other beings. What is so tempting about the Black Zone is the fact that there are no laws. It was in a constant state of anarchy. Since there are constantly powerful beings entering and exiting the Black Zone, this also makes it a hotspot for exchanging information. All sorts of spies are lurking around, overhearing the most recent news to pass it on. Every strong person who wants to become famous will travel to the Black Zone at some point in their lives. Not many people make it out alive. The Black Zone is filled with death and blood. This also means that high-leveled Q methods and D techniques, as well as all sorts of ancient priceless artifacts, are all over the place. It's also rumored that they have auction houses that sell twice the amount of diamond-level Q methods than the ones in the Empire. However, you can imagine how high the price for something like that is. Some people manage to get very wealthy over there. Almost as wealthy as the Imperial family. Oh, and before I forget to mention it, do you know what's in the middle of all this chaos? It's Nanji Academy. Xavier's eyes widened. Nanji Academy is in the middle of this Black Zone? Who decided that it would be a good idea to open an academy in the middle of a place like this? Lau chuckled. You forget that Nanji Academy is not an ordinary academy, but an academy for the strong and powerful. Putting it into the middle of the Black Zone is a perfect idea to test the students. Don't worry too much about it. The academy is well respected, and there are a lot of powerful people protecting the students of the academy. Anyone who would dare to pick any fight will be killed and hung on a large tree near the academy, as a warning to others. I've heard some rumors that the dead bodies of 2 Q Masters and 1 high-level Q Master were hung on one of those trees a while ago. They call it the Tree of Ghosts. That sounds very reassuring, Xavier laughed nervously. He kept staring at the huge group of bounty hunters. They laughed and cursed loudly and without shame. At the back of the group, there were some people and horses pushing and pulling carts along. They did not wear the same uniforms as the people ahead of them. Instead, they were dressed in simple robes and cloaks. This was because they were mostly servants. They were responsible for washing clothes, preparing food, and setting up tents. Xavier smirked. He suddenly had an idea. He put on his mask to disguise his face, rubbed some dust on his face to hide the mask as much as possible, and threw a dirty old cloak over his body. Once this was done, he joined the servants of the mercenaries and helped to push one of the carts. He kept his head lowered, making sure not to look at anyone. At first glance, it was impossible to distinguish Xavier from any of the servants. Step by step, they went closer to the border. As they were only a few hundred feet in front of the enormous gate, Xavier raised his head to watch the sky above the wall. I can sense some Q energy fluctuation. There must be some Q energy sensors. If I had used my wings to fly over it, these sensors would have exposed me immediately. I would be an easy target. And I've heard about the weapons these soldiers have. They have soul-piercing arrows, fire bows, and all sorts of other improved weapons to shoot someone down. When they were only a few feet away from the city gate, the large group came to a halt. 2 men at the front stepped forwards. They appeared to be the leaders of the company. They were smiling and laughing as they talked with the guards. It looks like they all know each other. I bet they have been in this business for a few years. The two of them kept chatting for a while. Xavier saw how one of them pressed something into the hand of the guard, who quickly put it into his pocket. Moments later, the guard waved his hand, and the way to the gate was opened. Xavier let out a relieved sigh. They're not going to search us, that's great. He got ready to keep pushing the cart and lowered his head. Just as the group was about to enter the city, a stern cry echoed through the air. Hey, who allowed them to go without searching them? Seconds later, countless guards in heavy armor with long spears blocked the city's gate. In front of them was a young man with a gloomy expression. One of the leaders of the group stepped towards the young man. Ah, if it isn't the young Master Lang. I have not seen you in a few months. I'm glad you're doing well. You look a lot stronger. Have you been focusing on your training? Bow, enough of this nonsense. I looked the other way when you bribed our guards in the past, but right now, we cannot afford this. Everyone who wants to cross the border will undergo a strict search. Those are the rules. You should know why, or have you been living under a rock? The young Master Lang turned towards the guarded men. Everyone, kill any person that looks like they could be Xavier of the Xiao clan. He pulled out a wanted poster and raised it into the air. He then waved his other hand, and his group of soldiers went to search through the people of the group. This is bad, and here I was hoping things would be easy for once. Xavier silently cursed. The guards searched one at a time. They would carefully inspect the face of every person before moving to the next. Although the mercenaries seemed to be annoyed, none of them dared to complain. They knew fully well what consequences there were if they angered the young Master Lang. Lang kept looking over the guards with cold eyes. His hands were crossed behind his back. Slowly, he kept following his guards further down. Not one person escaped his eyes. The countless fights on the battlefield had left him with very keen senses. Xavier was hoping they would not bother to search through the servants. This hope died quickly. Xavier sighed. They really don't want to take any chances. Suddenly, Lang stopped only 3 feet in front of Xavier. His entire body froze, as if he had sensed something. Xavier's heart skipped a beat. Did he see me? Xavier did not dare to breathe as Lang and his guards were standing next to him. Did they recognize me? Lang's cold eyes swept over to Xavier. You there! Raise your head! Everyone who heard this turned towards Xavier. He hesitated for a moment. I suppose there's nothing else I can do. Slowly, Xavier raised his head and looked directly at Lang. As Lang's eyes met with Xavier's, he was startled. Despite the dirt and mask, he immediately recognized Xavier's eyes. It's him! Catch him! This is Xavier of the Xiao clan! Xavier only laughed as he heard this. Your reaction is good, but your strength is not. You're just a true master, aren't you? He stepped forwards and smashed his fist violently into Lang's chest. Lang's face turned pale, and he spat out some blood. Xavier was about to pounce forward for the final blow against Lang, as Lang moved to hide behind his soldiers within a split second. Xavier furrowed his brows. He is only a true master. I did not expect him to be so quick. Countless spears and swords were unsheathed and pointed at Xavier's head. They were glowing in a cold silver light. Xavier turned around to dodge the weapons. He tried to attack the guards, but every attack was blocked. He cursed and pulled back to gain some distance. Everyone that was close to him watched with stunned faces. Seeing Xavier injure Lang with only one hit caused many jaws to drop. It's really him, isn't it? He almost killed Lang with one hit. That's terrifying. They say he killed the first elder of the faction of the Misty Clouds. Numerous pairs of eyes kept watching Xavier fight. None of them appeared greedy or angry. Instead, they were full of awe and worship. That is him? They said he's young, but I had no idea he was that young. Did you hear? He even fought against the former leader of the faction of the Misty Clouds, Grandmaster Shan Yun, who's on the level of a warlord. As the first person confirmed that this was indeed Xavier, the other mercenaries broke into chaos. They began to whisper and chat with each other. Everyone had heard about Xavier and his fight with the faction of the Misty Clouds. Moreover, They've heard about the rewards one would receive if they had any clues about Xavier's whereabouts, or if they would capture him. Most people would kill to get their hands on an XXQ method. They were worth hundreds of thousands of gold coins on the market, especially here. There was a high demand, but a lack of supply to meet this demand. However, most of the people who were present were too scared of Xavier to act on it. Some of the mercenaries were hoping their leaders would allow them to catch Xavier. They looked towards their leader with questioning looks, waiting for their orders. Unfortunately, their leaders were too busy staring at Xavier with open mouths to notice these looks. "That is Xavier? The man that is wanted by the faction of the Misty Clouds? I had no idea he was among us, I swear." One of the leaders of the groups turned pale. He really had no idea, and did not want to get into trouble with the faction of the Misty Clouds for smuggling Xavier across the border. Lang turned purple with anger. He did not pay the leader of the mercenaries any attention. "Xavier of the Shao clan! We have thousands of armed soldiers. You will never be able to escape us." Xavier's expression did not change. He wiped some of the dirt from his face and looked over the masses of elite soldiers. "Young Master Lang, can I ask you something? These soldiers are working for the Imperial family, right? Since when is the Imperial family a lapdog to the faction of the Misty Clouds? Is that not beneath their status? If the Imperial family knew that their soldiers are bending in front of the faction of the Misty Clouds, don't you think you will get into massive trouble?" As Xavier said this, most of the guards and soldiers stopped. They realized that Xavier had a good point. According to the laws, they were working for the Imperial family, not the faction of the Misty Clouds. Capturing Xavier was not their duty, and while the soldiers were also tempted by the Q method and D technique, and all the other rewards they would get for capturing Xavier, they knew that they would not get any of them. Their commanders would have gotten all the rewards. While the soldiers were hesitating, someone laughed loudly. Everyone turned towards the source of the laughter. It was a middle-aged man who walked out of the stronghold. He was wearing silver armor. His eyes pierced through Xavier. "What a sharp-tongued, witty young man. Let me introduce myself. I am Commander Meng, Deputy Commander of the military stronghold you see. Unfortunately, trespassing is also against the Empire's law. You should be arrested for this. I advise you to cooperate. If you resist the arrest, you will only get yourself hurt." "You're that dog Meng who is a member of the faction of the Misty Clouds?" Xavier glared at the middle-aged man near him. Judging by his Q energy, he was a level 3 battle spirit. Commander Meng did not answer Xavier. "Take him down!" Upon hearing this order, a few hundred soldiers swarmed outside the stronghold through the gate. They surrounded Xavier more and more. The sharp spears in their hands sparkled in the sun. Xavier frowned. "All right, since sneaking did not work, all I can do is forcefully fight my way through." He unsheathed his broadsword ruler. Commander Meng watched Xavier's desperate attempt to fight all these soldiers with great caution. Originally, Commander Meng only agreed to search for Xavier because he had heard that Xavier was badly injured. Otherwise, he would not have dared to block his way. A young man that attacked the faction of the Misty Clouds and killed their first elder was not someone Commander Meng wanted to mess with. "Everyone stop this immediately!" Just as the soldiers were about to charge into the fight, someone shouted from the city gate. A man walked up to the soldiers. His eyes were fixated on Commander Meng. The man did not look happy. "Commander Meng, if you want to lick the boots of the faction of the Misty Clouds, you can do this on your own. You will not misuse my silver army for your own gain. You want them to all die for that damned faction you used to be part of?" "General Wu, you can't be serious. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We cannot let Xavier escape. Just think about the rewards." Commander Meng's face turned red. General Wu did not care. He waved his hands, ordering all the soldiers to withdraw. The soldiers were clearly relieved to see this. None of them hesitated for even a second. They quietly moved back through the gate and went back to their posts. General Wu walked up to Xavier. He towered over him like a tree. On his scared face was a wide grin. "You must be Xavier from the Shao clan, right? You have some guts, young man. In all these years, I've never seen anyone humiliate the faction of the Misty Clouds in front of so many people. If I would be allowed to, I would invite you in for a few drinks." General Wu let out a thunderous laugh and hit Xavier playfully on his back. Xavier smiled, his body relaxed. and he sheathed the broadsword ruler back onto his back. "Thank you, General Wu," Xavier said, and took a grateful bow. General Wu brushed it off. "There's no need to thank me for that. I'm just doing my job. If the faction of the Misty Clouds wants me to capture you, they should have bothered to get this order authorized by the Imperial family first. However, without the authorized order, there's nothing I can do to stop you." General Wu threw his hands into the air and smiled. Xavier took another bow in front of General Wu. "I'm happy to hear this. Still, thank you. I really appreciate it. Commander Meng, it looks like you'll have to fight me on your own if you want to get the rewards for my head." Suddenly, Commander Meng turned as pale as a ghost. He did not expect Xavier to be so bold. Without an army to cover his back, however, Commander Meng was not so confident anymore. "You arrogant bastard," he murmured. Xavier chuckled. A smirk was on his face. "So what? Do you intend to stop me? Or will you save both of us some trouble and let me pass? I won't tell the faction of the Misty Clouds that you let me pass once I will face them again. I promise." Commander Meng swallowed heavily. It was clear that he was torn. On one side, he did not want to miss out on the rewards. On the other, fighting someone like Xavier could have been a death sentence.